serve us in a number of ways in solving our landscape problems, and the framework is one of the ways. That conifers can be screens, they can be hedges, they can be gateways. Now, screens are help us hide those unattractive sights. They muffle noise from traffic. They can, on the positive side, they can screen a borrowed view. The neighbor next door has a beautiful perennial garden. Capture that. You can see it, maybe they can't. Screens also have a utilitarian side that is increasingly mentioned in our energy conscious world. They can serve as windbreaks. They are the best of the windbreaks. The web will tell you how to space various types of, tends to be a staggered line, a double line actually, of conifers, and there's a lot of research that's been done on how much this can reduce the wind flow around your house and reduce your energy costs. It's worth checking out if you're going to be there for a long time. And I say that seriously because I have a quite elderly friend who grew up in the Midwest where windbreaks were a way of life, and she keeps worrying that she's never put a windbreak in. I think it's too late now, you know, because those are going to take a good many years, and her budget is tight and these plants are expensive. But I think that's a long-range plan. It's worth looking into. I think that conifers can be grouped with other broadleaf evergreens for a very nice screen too. I had a client with a very narrow space between her downstairs windows and the next door neighbors, and we used a combination of green leaf American hollies and the Hollywood juniper. Both of those have rather tight footprints. It gave her a tall coverage but not so wide. So I think the mix can be very nice too. Well, hedges divide spaces. They provide privacy between your garden and your neighbors, or they define space in your garden. They create garden rooms. We could use that technique of more garden rooms in our gardens. They can often provide just the background for what else you might have there. And I use the term gateways. That's kind of designer jargon. That was better than implied enclosures, which the British seem to call this. But that's where you have the urns, maybe at the, you know, at the bottom of a stairway. Or yesterday I was in Bethesda and I noticed on a concrete pathway at the Wildwood Shopping Center that the nail salon had a couple of urns. In one of those urns they had a shaped juniper underplanted with pansies, and the other one was just planted with pansies. That was so attractive on a cold winter day. That's an example of a gateway. A pair of blue arrow junipers, for instance, planted at the doorway of a townhouse, particularly a red brick townhouse, provides a nice vertical, and it matches the narrow shape of the townhouse itself. And you might use the blue stars to pick up that blue again. Then you could add some more blue. Oh, well, I don't have to go on anymore about that. I think they can work very effectively in a narrow, how many of us have a narrow side garden, and you frequently want to give it a division, but a sense of separation between the front or the backyard. A pair of conifers with the path in between can be a nice way to do it, and maybe less expensively and longer term than using a gate. Actually, the screen can be longer lasting and less expensive than a gate, and a whole lot, or a fence, and a whole lot less expensive than walls in a garden. Let's look at some examples. The conifers as a screen. This is at Ladue Gardens out from Baltimore, and this is using the emerald arborvitae, which is a fine screening plant. This is going to grow to 12 to 15 feet, 3 to 4 feet wide. Oddly enough, the one on the lower left is a very, very, very sheared Leyland cypress hedge. Can you believe anybody would hack back the Leylands that far? And I would have picked another one, but that was the best picture I found. But it is what we most often think of as a hedge, I think. You have another hedge in the center there, a yew that separates a parking area by this house from the lawn itself. And I think this is a wonderful, clean look of a hedge. There's the gateway, the golden-leafed arborvitae in concrete pots at the base of the steps leading to a garden on a hillside. I see that too, and I've seen a good many corkscrew junipers lately that were bug infested, and I'm going to stick my neck out and say I think a lot of that had to do with not enough water, and the spider mites move in when the plant dries out. Anybody else want to speculate on what might cause that? If you want to carry the idea of a framework to the extreme, there's the knot garden. This is a back to basics, so we're not going to talk about knot gardens, but that's an example of you know, using the hedge type plant. So would be the formal parterre, and yew, of course, is the most the plant most associated with hedges and so on.